Good morning, YouTubers. T-Square here with T-Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. Today, got a cool video. I think it's going to be a good video. We're kind of going to do a little bit of talking about a few different things that are going on today. So we're kind of going to jump around, almost like a recap video, but kind of elaborate a little bit on some more stuff that's coming to light. Not really like the Saturday video where I kind of read y'all's comments and questions and talk about them on Saturday morning. And if you're not familiar with that, every Friday I end up putting out a video, and then Saturday morning I answer every comment that came out on the Friday video. So it's a good opportunity for people to subscribe to the channel and then type in whatever question they have on Friday, and you get a straight up answer on what I think is going on. Now, this is not financial advice, what we're going to be talking about. However, it is important. It gives you a good starting point to kind of start off and kind of hear what someone else says, research it a little bit yourself, and then make your own conclusion on what is going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I didn't really have a single topic to go too far in depth, so I said I'm just going to kind of round it off a little bit and kind of talk a little bit and then just see where the video goes from that standpoint. So the first thing briefly that I want to do is go through what the prices are, what's going on, and then take it from there. If you enjoyed today's video, please let me know. Hit the comment and write a comment in whatever you think. Leave a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and with that being said, let's jump in and get started. Right off today, we've seen a fair amount of volatility in the silver. We're seeing a whole lot of volume trading. Huge amounts of volume are coming when you look at what's going on. You can kind of see down here on the charts how extreme the volume has been. And we're sitting right now at $51.27. We actually seen it go as high as $52.44. But we also seen it plunge as low as $50.34. So we're seeing that volume right now kind of moving around. And I guess that's a good thing. It's opportunity. However, some of us are looking for big dips. Some of us are buying precious metals on a consistent basis. It really doesn't matter, because the truth of the matter is government is really just blowing bubbles now. A lot of people are starting to get worried about inflation. People are getting worried about the economy. There are so many problems right now. They're worried about the debt. They're worried about the health care in this country and how it increased, even though the government is back open, up and running. A huge backlog of work. I think we had the government closed down for like 45 days or something. And yeah, it took its toll. A lot of work just built up, and now they've got to catch up on that. They did end up striking that deal to reopen government, push SNAP benefits and stuff. But a lot of people, some people don't even realize exactly what the bill was that got passed that made them reopen. This reopening is only until January 30th. So the problems are not over. We're continuing to see problems happening. There's more problems coming down the pipeline, and we'll see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting. A lot of people are worried. Keep in mind, too, the economy is showing signs of a slowdown. And we are in basically the Christmas time period now. We're going into the busy months. I mean, Thanksgiving is next week, and then that's it. Then we're in the Christmas holiday season, with the next holiday being Christmas. And that's when people are supposed to be buying and buying and buying Christmas presents and spending, and that should be their best quarter. However, a lot of people are starting to question, with a lot of people unemployed, with money essentially tightening up, with inflation going up. This year, I think we're going to see a lot less product sell, even though the numbers might look higher, like, oh, sales were the best they've ever been. A lot of that is going to be because the prices are higher than they ever been. So a lot of people don't really understand. They're getting less product for more money, and that is not really a good thing. That's not making it easier on people's livelihoods. It's meaning that people are going to get, I hate to say, less presents. They're going to see less gifts going out. People are going to be spending less. I know in my area, I'm seeing a lot of restaurants start tightening up. I've actually seen a couple restaurants go out of business. In fact, one of them was my favorite restaurant in the area. They ended up closing down. And I'm like, oh my word, that kind of stings a little. But a lot of people are struggling now. People are going to the grocery store, and we're seeing the grocery store prices go up. We're seeing food prices go up. We're seeing everything go up. And I'll be honest, if you're stacking precious metals, then you might feel good that your precious metals are going up, but the prices on everything else we buy is also going up. We're seeing a lot of stuff come down. I know Bitcoin has been taking a devastating hit. A lot of people are worried about the crypto turmoil right now. How devastating could this be if Bitcoin does continue to fall? Now, we actually went down today. We went down to 88, or I should say yesterday, we went down to 88,000, which was the lowest I've seen in quite a while. And then we did see it pop back up to 92. Now, will it hold, or did we just open the door into the 80s, and now it's just a matter of time before we start sinking into it a little bit lower each time? And a lot of people are getting worried about that. A lot of people are starting to realize that maybe digital gold isn't as much digital gold. It's not as much gold as it is digital. And I think that worries a lot of people. And yes, I talk about Bitcoin a fair amount because of the huge gains that we have seen over the years, the pumping up. But keep in mind, the I won't say smart money necessarily. The big money gets in first. There's only so much Bitcoin out there. They pump the price up, and then a day comes where I believe they will dump a lot of their positions, and they'll leave a lot of people left kind of holding the bag. I got one friend, he was in something called carrot bars. This was essentially a gold-backed digital money kind of, and I guess you could get the actual physical money, and it would have like a little tiny gram of gold in it or whatever. And they thought it was going to be a big thing, kind of like the gold backs. And gold backs is still pretty popular right now. However, a lot of people are kind of looking at the premiums on them, and they're starting to question buying more. But on top of that, you're seeing the other one, the carrot bars, actually fizzled out to where I seen one person, they lost tens of thousands, and it was kind of devastating to a certain point for him. He's written it off. He said it's a lesson learned. He knows he's probably not going to get that money back ever. And you know, the big money, they get in first. They're the first ones to hear about what goes on, and they're the first ones to sell it. And they're going to leave the everyday people like us holding the bag. Now, I've always said holding precious metals is not the same as anything else. If you hold a physical ounce of gold or a physical ounce of silver, you own it. There's no claims to it per se. I mean, there may be paper claims out there, but it's yours. You're holding it. You're in possession of it. It's not going to get, essentially, no one can, I mean, I guess they could steal it from you. But it's not like someone could be like, oh, I have a higher claim to it, so you have to give it to me. It's not like preferred stock, how you have some stocks that are preferred versus unpreferred, or I should just say regular, I guess. You either have preferred or regular, where someone can basically, if the stock starts losing too much money, goes bankrupt, well, preferred shares get paid out first. And then the everyday shares end up being left holding the bag. And it's funny how people will end up not realizing some of this until it's just too late. And I really think there is a huge, essentially, pullback or a huge crash coming. Now, crash doesn't necessarily mean that it will be the end of it forever. It does mean, however, I mean, some companies will essentially bankrupt and go out, not be able to sustain themselves during the downtime. But some companies will just end up, you'll see their share price just plunge, and they'll do what they have to do, and they'll have huge layoffs. There's actually a website that someone was telling me about, and I checked it out. I wish I had pulled it up for today's video, where companies are basically saying there's a good chance within the next year they're going to lay off huge amounts of people. Now, I don't think we're going to see a lot of that happen before Christmas. I do think some layoffs will come. That's normal. We've seen a lot of closings of stores. We're seeing restaurants. You know, you have to understand that money has a trickle-down effect. So what I mean by that is if one company goes under, what does it do to the rest of the community? Does it have an impact? You know, I'm near a huge yard, not too far from it, and I've got friends that were working there. A lot of them got laid off. I was trying to think what they call it, if it's a yard, a shipyard, or whatever. But a lot of people got laid off. And then all of a sudden the company got so stretched so thin that they've even laid off family members. These are people that have been with the company for a long time. And you would think they would be kind of saved for as long as they can. But we're seeing it get worse and worse and worse. Now, what kind of impact does that have? Well, all those people that got laid off was people that were in the area working, and they were spending money in that area. Now, they go elsewhere to work. If there is elsewhere, maybe they go home and they take unemployment for a little while. We are getting into the holiday season, so a lot of people may want to just go home, take their unemployment and kind of stretch it to make it last. But as that happens, that slows down businesses that depend on those sales. And then some of those businesses, point blank, close down. Like I said, I've seen a restaurant in that area close down, one of my favorite restaurants. And then once they close down, well, then they lay off employees. They order less food, which means less work for people sending food in. And this stuff really does have a spider web or a trickling effect, where what happens in one spot just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading, and it gets harder and harder because all of a sudden now people have to find ways to cut back. They stop eating out more, and that has an effect. They stop shopping more. That has an effect. And then before you know it, you're just, seeing it just stuff totally come to a screeching halt. How much money circulates is a very important thing in the economy. The more it circulates, the better. It increases people's lifestyle. But when an area starts really slowing down or the money tightens up, that's it. Now, there's a couple ways that I believe that they could fix that, but by fixing that, they also make other problems. So, we could see them kind of push more money into the system, loosen up interest rate cuts. We've already had a couple of cuts. We're looking at probably another cut in December. It's not a guarantee, but here's the thing. What does that do? That makes money easier to get, and then it does ramp up inflation. So it's kind of like walking a tightrope. If you go too much one way, you run the risk of falling over, and if you go the other way, you run the risk of falling over the other way. And neither of them are good. And when prices are going up, that's it. Now, we're seeing everything from the NASDAQ to the Dow Jones to the S&P, Bitcoin. We're seeing a lot of stuff taking a hit. I'm happy with silver and gold still. The silver and gold has had a phenomenal year. We've seen it do outstanding. In fact, we've actually seen silver do even better than gold. At the beginning of the year, we were close to, at one point, 125 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. I've said in videos before, I wish I didn't even buy any gold during that time period. But see, here's what happens. People offer you a deal, or a company offers a deal, maybe an ounce of gold at spot or something like that, and you kind of forget about the gold-silver ratio and you jump on it. And yes, I'm happy with those purchases because gold and silver has been going up tremendously. But what worries me a little bit is how many people are still after gold. Whereas silver is kind of like gold on steroids. I hate to say it like that. I probably shouldn't have even used that word. I don't know if that will come up as a no-no word. Needless to say, silver can really take off. When gold and silver start going up again, that's it. And I talk to some people, and this always drives me nuts. I talk to some people, and they're like, dude, what is going on? Silver is just like stuck in the water. It ain't going anywhere. It's just like there. Here's the thing. We have had a awesome beginning of the year. And I said this after we hit $50. I said, even if silver sits at 50 until the end of the year, think about that. That's only 40 days until, oh my word, is it really? I'm looking at the calendar. Yeah, it's only like 40 days. Man, it's like 40 days until New Year's. So think about that for a quick minute. We're only like 40 days away from a new year. And I'm thinking you probably wouldn't see any sort of a major collapse before or around the holiday time period. I mean, stuff will slow down. People will still push themselves. Everybody tends to, it's almost like human nature. When the holiday season comes, people go in debt. They max out their credit cards. They push themselves. And then come the first of the year, what do? They try to get back into paying for it. But if all of a sudden there are no jobs, money's tightening up, it can make it really difficult. And like I said, the government shutdown, the reopening of it, it's not a guarantee. It's only funded for a while. And we could see this kind of come back into play in the beginning of next year. So we'll see how that's going to play. It's really going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Taking a quick look at the gold price, we got the gold price right now at $4,065. Down a little bit, down about $12. But again, we've been seeing a huge amount of volatility in gold. We're seeing it go up $50. We've seen it recently as high as 4,134. We also seen it as low as $4,036. So you're talking essentially a $100 swing on average. That kind of volatility is profitable for a lot of paper traders. Those of you that are just buying precious metals and sitting on it, you're probably not worried about what's going on. I know I'm not. I mean, if the gold dips down a little bit, hey, that's okay. I'll buy a little bit more. If it goes up, hey, I'll buy a little bit more. Right now, I've decided I am tightening up. I'm only buying the deals. I don't mind going a few weeks or even a month without buying anything. You got to really look for the opportunities. If you're just buying every single option, well, that doesn't always work out for you. At a certain point, you got to say no, because I'll be honest, precious metal stacking is an addiction. I mean, I know I am addicted to this. I keep trying to push myself for a little bit more, and I've gotten to the point now where whenever I buy stuff, I'm actually looking at it in terms of silver. If an item is like, we'll say $51, $52, I'm asking myself, do I really need that? Is it worth 2 ounces of silver or an ounce of silver, whatever it is? $51, is it worth that ounce of silver? Would I rather have the ounce of silver, or would I rather have that item? Am I going to use it? I've been trying to put a 1 day, I don't know what you want to call it, thinking about it day, a 24-hour before you buy something. But hey, everybody's got weaknesses, and sometimes people see stuff and they just want it. It's just another way that I'm trying to look at it to figure out ways to tighten up, to put a little bit more money to precious metals. I did already talk briefly about Bitcoin. We got the Bitcoin price at this current moment trading at $92,494, basically 92.5. Taking a quick look at assets based by market cap, as you can see, not much is really changing except for the numbers. The ranking structure for the top 10 is pretty much all stuck in the top 10 in place. We've got gold at the top, followed by Nvidia. Those two probably not going to move at all. We also have Apple pretty much at $3.985 trillion, just under $4 trillion. It's taken some heavy hits recently, but who knows? We'll see what happens and if the stock market will start taking hits, because I would expect a lot of computers, a lot of software, a lot of cell phones to really have a good couple months. Now, will it be good in compared to other years? Maybe not, but will it be good compared to this year? I expect sales to start ramping up on some of that. But remember, people are hurting right now, so they may be looking for cheaper options. But I think for the most part, people are just living off of credit cards. So they're probably going to still buy the latest and greatest gadgets to give to their grandkids, to their kids, to their family, their girlfriend, their wives, whatever. And I think we'll continue to see charge cards, essentially people charging stuff. But it worries me the first quarter of next year. How many payments will be delinquent? How many credit loans or IOUs will people be letting go of? Will they just say, you know what, let it go, I'm not worried about it anymore, I'm not paying it? Charge-offs to really start ramping up. One of the reasons I've always liked silver since I've started stacking, like I said, it is real wealth. It's solid. I would have no trouble right now selling my silver. There's always going to be people. I might not have extra money this month and need to sell a little, and then one of my buddies might have extra money and want to buy a little. Or he might be selling a little, and then I'd buy from him, and back and forth and back and forth. A lot of people are using silver now. People are slowly ramping up and using it as barter. I know some people are going to leave me a comment. Oh, people ain't using barter for silver for barter. What are you talking about? More and more people are. Compared to how many people do, we are seeing an uptick now. People are starting to trade. I've did a video in the past and I asked people to leave me comments of stuff that, and you can leave a comment. If you've traded recently silver or gold for an item, leave a comment. Let me know. I know one person had to sell a bunch of his silver to get a new vehicle. I know one person traded some firewood for some silver. I actually know one person that traded, what was it? And now I can't remember because I actually knew the person personally. And he said, yeah, I traded that silver and I got that. So people are using it. Now, I don't expect it to be as popular and as mainstream as a US $1 bill or a $20 bill. That's not going to come anytime soon. A time may come. Don't think for a minute that if the dollar did start having a huge pullback, that couldn't happen. Because I can tell you right now, if given the opportunity for silver or for paper money, fiat money, I'm going to take the silver. But, hey, not everybody knows about it. It's kind of a small niche right now. But we are going to see it grow, especially as we see the silver price and the gold price continue to ramp up. There's no end in sight right now for government debt, and that's something a lot of people are worried about. We talk about the national debt a fair amount on this channel, sitting right now at $38.2 trillion. We're seeing this number continue to climb. And like I've said, I really believe we will see $39 trillion by the end of the year. It still seems far away to say that. However, 40 days is not really that far away. We will see how that plays out. As we get a little bit closer, it will be easier to make that call on exactly where we'll be. I know at the beginning of the year, I made a call that I thought that silver would be $48 at the end of the year. And some people laughed at me. Well, right now we're at 51. I wouldn't be surprised, though, as the year comes to an end, if we see a decent pullback at the end of the year. Now, I'm not going to talk all that much about a pullback because I know people don't like to hear a pullback. However, just when stuff really starts slowing down and shutting down, like the economy, a lot of people aren't building as much. They don't need the industrial side of silver. If it gets too bad, though, you have to remember, right now I believe there are big entities that are buying up silver right now. They're buying up gold right now. They're preparing for what is coming, and they understand that. But we're also seeing the dollar, the illusion of the dollar, get stronger. We're seeing the dollar now back over 100. A lot of people said we would probably not see that again anytime soon. So the fact that we are back over 100 is pretty interesting. I'm trying to pull up a chart real quick. If I can stop clicking it. Year to date. That way you can really see what's happened. Excuse me. So we were as high as essentially 110. Think about that. 110 with the dollar looking really good. And then we've seen it start coming down. 108, 107, 106, 105, 104, 100. We've seen it go literally all the way down to 96. So I want you to think about that for a minute. That is a devastating hit on the dollar. We've seen it bounce around in the 96 point for a little while now. We have seen an uptick, but a lot of that uptick is due to the government reopening. People think the problems have been fixed. And I've always said the illusion of the dollar, the illusion of the DXY, they are designed to be illusions. I'll tell you what I mean by that. The first one being the DXY. The DXY index, I've heard people tell me, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. The DXY is stronger than it's been in a while. to a certain point, yes, we are back over 100. It is stronger by that definition than it has been in a while. But what you have to understand is the DXY is a basket of multiple currencies that are being compared against each other. If one of those currencies falls down, it drives the other ones up. If two of them go down, it drives the other one even stronger because you're comparing. It's almost like someone like me decides to go out and run a marathon. And I'm not a runner, trust me. In fact, I'm 6'3", 300 pounds, a little over. And I couldn't run a marathon probably to save my life. I couldn't do it. However, I've always said if I get to pick who I'm running against, then I could do pretty well. Yeah, it might not be well in terms of overall time, but it will be well against the people that I'm running against. Why? Because I'm picking the people that I'm running against. So that's what comes in. Now someone might be like, that dude won a marathon? Look at him. He's 6'3", over 300 pounds, and he run a marathon? How fast did he run it in? Oh, he did the 5 miles in I don't know, like what, 4 hours? I don't know what I could run 5 miles in. I've never ran 5 miles. They'd be like, what? And he won? What the heck was he running against? Sloths? I mean, if you're picking the people you're running against. So the U.S. the DXY is comparing their currency against other fiat currencies. They're not comparing it against gold, because if they were comparing it against gold or comparing it against silver or comparing it against really any other commodity out there, then the dollar wouldn't be doing good. Why? Because we know that, because we're seeing the commodities, we're seeing the silver, we're seeing the gold, we're seeing that stuff go up in price. And yeah, you might see a little bit of a pullback here and there, but what do you expect when you've got a commodity that's up 60% year to date? I mean, think about that, 60%. That's astronomical. So the fact that it has a little bit of a pullback, it's not really devastating to me in the least. It's just an illusion. It's an illusion compared. And then on top of that, we have the dollar, the physical dollar. We're seeing them continue to print and print and print more money. We're seeing them blow up bubbles, making stuff more expensive. And what you have is a group of people, or a large amount of people, thinking, oh, I'm in a way better spot. Look at how much I'm making now. I'm making maybe, I don't know, 20% more than I was making last year at this time, or a couple years ago at this time. I've got a house that's worth a whole lot more money than it was worth at the beginning of the year. I've got a 401k that's worth a lot more than it was at the beginning of the year. What people don't understand is how quick that can go away. So the fact that you have essentially a bubble or a balloon that we've been putting air into, and it's been blowing bigger and bigger and bigger, and it looks like you have a lot more, you have to understand that when this stuff starts crashing down, the air gets let out of that balloon, and all of a sudden your balloon ain't as big anymore. And then you start realizing, well, wait a minute. I'm making 20% more, but the prices are 30% higher on everything I'm buying. And yes, my house was worth more, but now it came down, but yet the taxes are still up there. Why am I paying more in taxes today than I was back then? It's in their best interest to make stuff more valuable. Why? Because then you have to pay more taxes. If your house goes up, you pay more taxes. If you make more money, you pay more taxes. If you pass away, more taxes. You have to understand, everything is taxed nowadays. You're taxed when you go to work. You're taxed when you spend your money. You're taxed when you give something away or you sell that something. You're taxed again on it. I mean, you're taxed when you pass away. I mean, you may not be here to pay the tax, but someone is, that. I don't want to use the D word. Certain words I try to stay away from. But when you pass away, someone's getting taxed on that estate, depending on how they have it set up. There are obviously loopholes. The rich understand these loopholes and they stay away from them. And, sometimes people that don't make a lot of money will get lucky and they'll hire a good accountant. I don't want to slam H&R Block or anybody particular, but they'll end up getting a good CPA. And they will learn a lot of this stuff and they will guide them. Now, they're paying a little bit more for that. I had someone tell me one day, you pay almost $500 to do your taxes? What in the world? Just go to H&R Block for $30, $40. I don't know what H&R Block charges now. And this is not by any means an advertise or an anti-advertise for H&R Block. But what I want people to understand is you get what you pay for. And I think the bigwigs, they understand these loopholes that are in the tax rules, and they use those loopholes to either reinvest their money, their profits at the end of the year. I actually knew one person that he bought real estate, and every year at the end of the year, in the beginning of December, he would get with his CPA, have them do a quick rundown on how much money essentially he is up, and then they would start spending. He would take a large portion of his money and say, okay, here's what you got to do. I need you to spend $40,000 in this month. And that way we can get those write-off slips in before the end of the year. And he's done everything. He's ended up going out and buying a fixer-upper house, bought a bunch of material to start putting it in, get it fixed up, ways to loophole. And then at the end of the year, the final day of the year, they recheck it and they're like, okay, nice. You didn't make any money this year. You got more assets. Those assets are probably worth more money. They're going to generate more money next year. Next year, you might not have to just invest $40,000. You might have to invest $50,000 at the end of the year, because you made so much. And they do need those write-offs. Those write-offs are very important to the people that play that game, And that's why essentially they want to inflate prices of everything. They want to blow these bubbles bigger and bigger so they can take more taxes. The more people catch on to what's going on, because you've all heard it, the rich don't pay their fair share. Everybody always says that. I hear that, and I'm like, let me put it this way. The people with money are generating jobs. Poor people don't generate jobs. They generate debt. That's it. They're spending. They're essentially consuming is what they're doing. The rich are buying up stuff, and yes, they do have some really nice stuff. They might go out and buy a nice yacht and use it as a business thing. They might buy a timeshare, use it for a business. It doesn't matter. Maybe they'll buy a second house and use it for business. They're always looking for ways to catch those tax breaks. So, ultimately, I am super happy with a lot of the stuff that I purchased over the last year. I purchased some gold. I purchased a little bit of silver. Do I have a little bit of crypto? I'm not going to lie. I have a little bit of crypto, but I don't have that much. Not even enough to really talk about. I actually lost access to one of my wallets. Every time I go in and try to type in my passcode, which I have and I know, it's coming up as invalid. And I'm like, what the heck? I know what my words were. I wrote them down, and I just can't seem to open it. And so, I've written that off. I still have a little here and there, but nothing major. And I have real estate, obviously. But I think people have to understand what's coming. And even if you are thinking, I don't have the money to invest, money is tight right now. That's a comment that I see a lot of the time. Money is tight. At some point, you have to make changes in your life. If you don't make changes now, then it's only going to get tighter. It's going to get tighter until eventually people are just dependent on Uncle Sam. I understand some people go, I'm already doing all I can. I'm working. I'm doing this. And then when you talk to them, they're a little frivolous in areas. Starbucks, that's one of the ones that I always get a kick out of. I said, you're in debt $45,000 on credit cards, and yet you're buying Starbucks. Must be nice. I said, you ain't worried about anything. I'm just making my payments, trying to stay afloat. That's all we can do. No, that's not all we can do. We can start making changes now. Little changes now over the course of the year. And I'm going to talk about this too as we get closer to the end of the year. I can tell you, come the end of the year, I am making huge changes in my life. Right now, I'm just laying the groundwork for some of them changes. Some of them changes means I'm going to set up a buying schedule for silver and gold. And if the price is not where I want it, I'm not buying. I want to pay off everything I owe. 100% don't want to owe nothing. You guys know I ended up putting some charges on my card recently. Bought a bunch of silver when it was down to $32 on a credit card at 0% for 1 year. And then when we seen it drop down to that 46, I think it was, I put a little bit more on there. Why? Because it's unlimited charges. Well, I shouldn't say unlimited. Unlimited until it hits its cap. And 0% until a ways away. But what I believe they're trying to do is they're trying to trap you. Yeah, they're giving you a great buying opportunity that the stuff I bought with it are assets. I could turn around and sell them, keep a certain amount of it, pay my taxes on that, and then boom, pay my credit card. However, I mean, we'll see what happens. A lot of people will charge, and then they're going to be buried when that deadline comes due. So people need to be mindful of what's going on. And like I said, the DXY looks great now. Compared to other currencies, we're over 100. That is a nice spot to be. We're not as low as we've been. We're not as high as we've been. Excuse me, but we are sitting there. I guess looking at this right here, the 52-week low was down to 96.22. The 52-week high was 110. So we're sitting right there, a little under the middle. So that's, that's a good spot to be, in my opinion. But we'll see how this will all play out as time goes on. As for now, I'm still liking silver even better. I think we will end up seeing an uptick in silver. I think it's going to look even better when a lot of stocks start coming down, when Bitcoin starts coming down, and silver is just holding its ground. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. A lot of people are complaining silver's not doing nothing. We're just poking it with a stick. It ain't really moving. As long as it's staying over $50, it had a great year, in my opinion. And I believe next year could even be better. But that's just my opinion. If people want to hear reasons why I think next year could be a lot better for silver, I will do a video on that if enough people ask me. Because there is a lot of potential for next year. Because here's the thing. You may not, and I always hear this comment come up a lot. You're not going to get rich with silver. You're not going to make any money off of silver. Maybe not. You're not going to get rich. You're not going to make money. But you're protecting your purchasing power. And what do you think happens when everything starts collapsing and gold and silver stays where it's at? Yeah, you're not really making money. But what's happening when all the other prices are starting to fall? You might see cars get cheaper. You might see stuff get cheaper. I know someone out there right now is saying, what? It's inflation. How is stuff going to get cheaper? It gets cheaper because people that already bought it may have to sell it. There's a lot of families out there that have multiple cars in their family. And if we see a devastating hit in the stock market, in job market, in work, then you'll see people start selling a lot of their stuff. You'll see Marketplace ramp up. You'll see eBay ramp up. You'll see people for sale by owner. We've seen this before. Remember, how many of y'all remember in 2008, 2009, where there were so many toys on the side of the road? ATVs, four-wheelers, trailers. People were selling because the economy was tanking. They couldn't rely on their regular income streams, and then all of a sudden, people had to sell toys. And they looked at it like it's no big deal. We don't use it anymore. We'll buy it back once things get better again. But if you had money, you had opportunity. And if you had gold and silver, you had opportunity. But I can tell you, in 2009, people didn't want to get rid of their silver. They didn't want to get rid of their gold because they knew it was going to keep inching up higher in price. And I believe we're going to see gold and silver inch up even higher in price in the near future. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up today's video here. If you are watching this video still and you did not hit that subscribe button, shame on you. Please take a quick minute, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think. If you disagree with something I said, go ahead and put it in the comments. If you want to kick in something that I should have said that I didn't say, put it in the comments. A lot of people will scroll through and they'll read the comments. They'll hit those little thumbs up or thumbs down on the comments they like or agree with. They'll even add their 2 cents in, and it really does start generating a good information flow of what other people that are like-minded are thinking. And it's really important that we listen to other people, because you start forming your opinion and your consensus with a little bit of other people's opinions, and it all comes together for the big picture and puts you in the driver's seat so you're prepared for what is happening and what's going to happen. With that being said, hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you're one of the very few that have the ability to hype the video, not a lot of you are going to have the hype button. It's something that YouTube is testing right now. It's a beta version. If you have the hype button, take that hype and hit it for me. Click it. It really helps out. You don't get a whole lot of hype buttons. It really only affects certain channels. I'm a small channel, so it does affect me more than a big channel. So it really goes a long way if you take a minute and you hit that hype button. With that being said, we're going to wrap up here. I will see you guys again tomorrow on T-Square Talk. Remember, tomorrow is Friday. I answer all of your comments on Friday on the Saturday video. It does get long. It's a long Saturday morning video because we're answering everybody's stuff. I've seen it run as much as 2 hours even in some cases, because I make it a point to answer your questions if you have a question to the best of my ability. If I don't know, I'm just going to say I don't know the answer to that. But, hey, we'll see if we can figure it out. And if it is a really good question, then I might even do a standalone video on it. I have had that happen many of times. Just this video right here, new taxes on gold and silver. That was all based off of a comment. And when I started looking into it, I was like, what? What in the world? They're taking away the tax exemption on gold and silver? They want to start taking our gold and silver and take away the opportunity for us to secure ourselves. I mean, something to think about. Keep stacking, my friends. I'll see y'all next time on T-Square Talk. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.